Welcome to the IDP Show. I'm your host, Josh Raymer, joined in the So Check tonight. On my right, Adam Markham. On my left, Bobby Reynolds. Gentlemen, how are we this evening?
Doing very good. Rookie drafts are already going. So, yeah, this is the best.
This is the best time of year, Bobo. I know you're fired up.
It is a little lonely in here, though.
I know. We had such a good weekend with the fellas. It was kind of surreal to look around the table and see those guys here. Kind of the culmination of many months of planning. But I was telling the guys, it's like, oh, we should get you down here sometime. You say that and you genuinely do mean it, but knowing that it's probably just never going to happen. But then it happened, and it was amazing. I mean, Bobo, we were just talking before we got on mic. The golf on Saturday. Unreal.
Genuinely, so thankful for those dudes. I mean, you know, that's a lot to ask coming down from Canada, Wisconsin, Arizona. I mean, that's not you're not coming down from Ohio. That's a journey.
It's not like you're hopping down and driving a couple hours down the road.
Putting a lot of faith in four boys from Bowling Green. But no, genuinely good human beings. After meeting them, after spending time with them on the golf course, you know, after talking, you know, some IDP on some pods with them, just thankful they're in the IDP show feed. You know, just some good dudes to be linked arms with.
That's right. Good dudes. It was a thin moment, Addy. That's when it feels like the kind of heavens open up and God just smiles and shines down on you on that golf course on Saturday. It was just thin. The weather, the course was beautiful. We all were able to make it. You were playing some of the best golf I've ever seen you play. You were coaching those boys up even when they shanked balls left and right into the woods.
Yeah, that was the funniest part. One of them, won't say who, just duffs one. And Adam's like, it's got a chance. It's got a chance.
Good contact.
Yeah, it was great, like just build you up.
Yeah.
You pured it. It was, you know, directly right or left, but it was pure.
Yes, it sounded good. It felt good.
Yeah, my main goal was just to encourage them and make them want to play golf again, you know. Make them have a good experience, make them have fun, and they absolutely did. I think we all did.
I think maybe we even said that too, that this might be more fun playing golf with people who don't play but just want to have a good time versus the ones out there
because then
trying to break 80.
There's not the weight of expectation, right?
Yeah.
None of us. I mean, I haven't played golf in probably 6 or 7 years, but it was fun to just get out there and swing the clubs around, just, you know, talk crap with the guys, shoot some balls into the woods.
It was very competitive.
Make fun of each other.
It really was. That first 9 was, we had y'all a little scared. The teams were a
little uneven. We did it based on cards. So it was me, Sam, and Bobby versus Adam, Evan, Jake, and John.
Yeah,
so
three
you
newbies
had
pretty much.
the 3 newbies,
You were up against it.
But they clutched up and did some damn things.
Macri
so
hit a couple 40
The
footers.
Macri putt I will never forget.
We used
that was
everyone's
beautiful.
shots, you know, more than once. So
I'll
it was
remember
fun.
his reaction was even better than the putt. Just stone cold, just acted like he just meant to do it the entire time.
Yep.
True professional.
Absolutely.
Macri did look like a stone cold killer out there.
Absolutely has ice water in his veins.
Gonna need an updated picture of Evan's ankles. See what kind of oak ivy we got going on there.
Well, he's going to find out if he's allergic to poison ivy or poison oak because he was all over the sides of that course.
He was going after some crappy balls, but he didn't know any better. So.
That's right. He was, you know, he just was eager to please. He didn't want to be just tossing balls, you know, to the wind.
The really bright colored balls, those were really exciting for Evan.
Those were very helpful as well for folks trying to find balls in the woods. So welcome in. We're glad you're here. It is exciting because it is rookie draft season. Boys, it is also exciting because today was the launch day for the IDP Show Draft Kit. Just went live about 2 hours ago, theidpshow.com. We've got rankings, we've got blurbs, we've got team-by-team previews, we've got the ADP. I mean, $5 a month, Bobo. The goal was for our paid supporters to be like, I feel like I'm stealing from these boys.
$5 a month.
$5 a month.
I definitely wasted $5 somewhere today in my journey.
I shot about $5 worth of golf balls into the woods in about the first 18 minutes of playing golf on Saturday.
$5 a month, you know, if you do it just for Adam's ranks, Adam's dynasty ranks, it's going to be worth it. But we have so much more in there. You've got a consensus ranks from us. You've got team blurbs, exactly like you said in the tweet that you put out there today. If you want to actually do your own research, we've got a lot of ADP.
10,000 words of team previews from Evan and Jace if you want to look through the assets and figure out who you like.
Don't get caught in June, July, August with your pants down on Sleeper. Trust in their ADP.
Don't do it.
Just like we're learning tonight, it's terrible. Get in there, get you some ranks, get you some ADP, read a lot of these awesome articles that Evan, Jake, Jace, a lot of these guys have put together. And, man, $5 a month, it might be the best deal on Twitter tonight.
Yeah, I mean, so if you have it for all 4 months of the off season, May, June, July, August, that's $20, Addy.
Created by us, created by people that have been out here drafting.
Yeah.
This is the best resource in IDP. I have no worries saying that at all.
Because it's all based on the ADP that we've been pulling together. Yeah. It's hard to form takes during the off season if you don't know what the market is saying. And so, we've got sleepers, breakouts, fades from Jeff and Jake. We've got team previews from Evan and Jace. We've got rankings from us. We got Jake and Jeff doing the rookie rankings. You have been putting together some little bonus goodies inside of your dynasty ranks that are going to be waiting for people in there.
All kinds of stuff. We got a top 100 combined list, just like top assets in fantasy football. And there are IDPs included in those. So, working on stuff like that. I've got my own set of rookie ranks that are super flex, tight end premium, and also IDP.
Yeah.
Just constantly trying to think of things that we can do to add value to people that rock with us. And constantly adding, data to the ranks, different types of stats.
It's almost unfair to call them rankings at this point, Bobby, because it's essentially an IDP database.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to sell myself or you short there, Joshy. Over the last couple of years, we've seen other things out in the industry. We've used other tools and we've used other cheat sheets. And seeing how people came up with their ranks, seeing how people come up with their projections. And we have evolved. Adam, I think, loves the youth. He understands when new edge defenders or when linebackers are coming into the league and where we're going to value them at dynasty-wise. You're not going to find anybody that probably trades more in fantasy football than myself. And then Josh, especially, from around the NFL, from a Nate Tice pod, offensive coordinators moving around, defensive coordinators coming into a new system, players being moved around. Josh is excellent at that. So, sure, we may be patting ourselves on the back a little bit too much here too early on, but the amount of IDP draft kits that are getting sold here in the last day or so, it shows that y'all want it.
That's right. We hope it's useful. We hope it's a resource that can be evergreen for y'all. We're going to update this all off season. So no matter when your draft is, you're going to have the most updated information. And I guess I'll just go ahead and kind of drop the news for the coming season, that in talking about these premium features that you get as a paid supporter. Of course, we have the waiver wire article. We've got the after show podcast now. We've got some cool plans lined up for that. But one of the pieces that we really wanted to add for the 2023 season, we have locked that into place, and it is one of the draft kit contributors. Chase Abbey will be doing weekly rankings for us on the website, folks. And those preview pods that Evan and Jake are doing, they're going to reference those rankings. So we just want to, like Adam said, give you the best possible resources to not only win your drafts, but win your leagues, Bobo.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's what we do here. Anything, just like Adam said over the years, anything we're going to put our name to, we want it to be the best. We want to give y'all good quality content. We want to bring in people like Evan, like Jace, like Jake, people that we can link arms with, not only to play golf Shady Hollow, but also to put out some fire ranks.
Yeah. And understand, we could charge a lot more for this if we wanted to. We want people to get in here and get this. We want to keep the price low. We feel weird even asking anything for it, because we've been giving everything for away for free for so long.
Yeah.
But this is worth it, and it's something that we've all invested and put a lot of time into. And the reason why we have to sell the stuff is so we can pay people to contribute.
Right. My big baby that you get to have unlocked by being a subscriber, Mock 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0, which will be back later this week. You actually get to see behind the curtain. You get to see rounds 2, 3, and 4. Where previously, if you were just a sub to the website, which is fine, that's great also.
Yeah.
If that's all you want to do.
There's going to be plenty of stuff coming out on the website as well for free subscribers.
But it'll wet your whistle. It'll get your appetite, ready for a little bit more.
That's right. We've always said if you want to support the show, our goal is to give you some really awesome perks that make it feel like one of the best $5 you can spend per month. So check it out.
We don't do this a lot. We don't ask you to subscribe. We don't ask you to,
I know. I feel even weird kind of monologuing about
we hate this.
We
really hate this.
We do have to mention it though, because it has been months in the making, hundreds of hours poured into this draft kit with more to come. So check it out, theidpshow.com. Like I said, we have the weekly rankings coming this season that you do not want to miss. We'll have the preview episodes with Evan and Jake where you'll be able to submit your questions and have them answered live on those episodes. So check it out, theidpshow.com. But fellas, tonight we are going to be doing a rookie mock draft, offense, IDP. Addy, explain the setup for us.
Yeah, this is just going to be a one quarterback, non-tight end premium. But I think it's a start 11 offense. So it's like start a quarterback, start 2 running backs, start 3 receivers, start a tight end, and then I think it's 4 flex.
But it's 5 rounds.
5 rounds, correct? Yeah, we're not gonna
make them do 20 rounds. Sure. Yeah, that would be that would be a little much to ask of our friends.
Yeah, right. And then on the IDP lineup requirements, it's 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and 4 defensive backs. So, this is
we're wanting to give the league set up.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
This would be how we would draft for a large league, right? Most of the dynasty leagues we play in with IDP, these are probably 53-man rosters. I think most people try and keep it, 100.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, these are deep-ass leagues with start 22 total typically. Yep.
So I think everyone's in the room, fellas. This is a live draft. We will send out a link to the draft board as well. But what do you say we light this candle, fellas?
I'm for it.
Real quick, we'll run down the draft order here. Like Adam said, it's a linear draft, 5 rounds. And we've got at the 101, so going 101 to 112 here. Mike Wollert, Kyle Borgononi, myself, Kyle Bellyfuel. We got Ray from All 22. Bobo, you're at the 106. Addy, you're at 107. Bobby from All 22 is at the 108, so we got a Bobby off here.
Yeah, I don't like that.
We got Tripp at the 109. We got Chris from All 22 at the 110. Macri's at the 111, and Evan is at the 112. So we have started the draft. Mike Wollert has gone with Bijan Robinson at the 101. And not
surprising right there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought for sure it was going to be Lucas Van Ness after what happened in that draft room. But not a surprise there. I think I'm very curious to see. We brought Kyborg in. Congrats to Kyborg on the launch of the Dynasty Fantasy Footballers podcast. But I'll be curious to see. This is like right up his alley. So let's unpause it, Addy, and give these guys a chance to make some picks here. I don't think Kyborg is going to take any IDP, if I had to guess. Probably all offense.
I'd love it if he did.
That would be hilarious.
Shake it up.
Second round, he snipes me on Jack Campbell or something. So I'm sitting here at 103, and this is interesting because
real life.
I'm at the 103 in our main Dynasty League, and I am so very curious. That's why I'm glad we did a 1 QB league. It's not super flex. I'm very curious to see who's available to me at 103 because I think JSN or Gibbs are going to be the 2 names that are going to be debated by the person with the 102 in these rookie drafts.
So far, that's what I've seen. I have seen some Gibbs 102, and then I have even seen a draft on Twitter that went QJ over JSN at 103, which, if you're a QJ guy, you like Herbert, maybe that's a nice little stack you can have there, but I agree with you, Josh. I think that's the pretty consensus top 3 there for us. Bijan, y'all drafting Bijan 101 if you have 101, or would you sell that pick?
Yeah, if I can sell it, I'm definitely trying to see what I could get for it. But if I don't get what I'm looking for, I'm totally okay taking Bijan.
Sure,
yeah.
I get that.
I mean, I think he's already a Is he 1 or 2?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the rookie running back rankings kind of, graphics on Twitter I'm seeing different places has him as the #1 dynasty running back.
Let me ask
already.
you this, Adam, because I know you're probably in more Superflex leagues than I am. But Superflex, are you going Bijan 101?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's kind of hot take, right?
I don't know. I think a lot of people have been coming out with the A-Rich 101 this week, but I mean, I don't think you can go wrong either way there.
I gotcha.
I guess it depends on where you're at as your roster. If you have the 101 and you're not thinking about going Bijan, you should definitely try and trade down to 102.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw someone do that in a league today. They had the 101 and they took Bryce Young, and then Bijan went 102.
Wow.
And I was like, oh boy.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, don't outsmart yourself, folks. Just go with Bijan at 101. And
again, that was super flex, folks, of course.
Yeah, super flex. But even then, I still think I'm going Bijan at 101 because these quarterbacks. I mean,
I know. I don't know. I don't trust him enough.
I don't either.
A-Rich obviously has his concerns. I mean, he seems
There doesn't seem to be a Trevor Lawrence or Joe Burrow this year.
Bryce Young is tiny.
Yeah.
Saw him next to Brian Burns. And
dude,
very small.
Sent that to a buddy of mine.
That picture was hilarious.
Yeah.
To think about that size man tackling him, it doesn't sit well.
Yeah. And then Stroud, who knows? I mean, he seems like he may not have a brain.
He took that S2 test twice.
There it goes.
So, yeah, Kyborg goes Jackson Smith and Jigba there at the 102. So, this is interesting to me because I was originally Team QJ before DeAndre Swift got traded. But now that he is out and it is David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, I think I'm going to go Gibbs here, even though I am super duper tempted by the talent, potential upside of Quentin Johnston, the fact that he is tethered to Justin Herbert. Kyborg said talent over landing spot for JSN. So that's the inverse here of what we're talking about with Quentin Johnston, which is the talent is, a little bit in question. Not a very safe floor. Could be a bust, but landing spot was outstanding.
And I do agree with what Evan said on the pod last week, that it's not necessarily Lockett's replacement. JSN will run the slot, and that's really not where Lockett runs out of a lot, to be honest with you. He's more of an outside wide receiver to go with DK. So I like JSN there over Gibbs. Maybe just depends on your roster setup. I will have to make a decision here before 4.0 comes out, but I'm not going to hate on either of those picks.
Yeah, so I ended up going Gibbs at the 103. Kyle Bellyfuel is on the clock, so I'd say this is probably either QJ or Jordan Addison.
It was a weird 24 hours there for the Gibbs manager spots, the Swift manager. It was a 180 tilt for sure.
Yeah. I'm all in on Gibbs. In fact, I've been taking him 103 in Superflex with Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, both being on the board.
I don't hate that. I think Gibbs could be a freaking cannon.
And I have no running backs. I have Le'Veon Bell and Kareem Hunt. So currently I have no running backs that are rostered.
And as good as JSN's talent is, there is still DK and Lockett there, Yeah. So it's
well, I mean, and also there's Geno Smith there.
Yep.
Is he going to turn back into a pumpkin? I feel like maybe we saw his ceiling last year. I mean, I just I don't know. I think JSN, you're gonna have to wait a little bit before you see him, become kind of what he is. I do love JSN, but it's just Gibbs is probably gonna smash immediately, and so I think his value is gonna increase because of that.
I will say I'm hoping Lauren has the 102 in the XFFL. I'm hoping that he goes with JSN so I can take Gibbs, because if it's Gibbs or QJ, I'm going QJ.
Yeah, and the Lions got a ton of heat for going running back and linebacker early, but I mean that team is set up.
Yeah,
these are win now pieces, and yeah, I mean don't forget that offense was amazing last year. So I mean you want pieces of that offense, and you definitely want the pass catching running back of that offense.
So to catch you guys up, Kyle did go Quentin Johnston at the 104. Ray went Jordan Addison at 105. And Bobo, you went Will Anderson at the 106. Talk me through your pick here.
It just seems like that's the fall off. I love the talent of Quentin Johnston paired with Herbert. I love the talent of Jordan Addison paired there alongside Justin Jefferson. He's going to have a lot of wide receiver 2 opportunities there with super accurate Kirk Cousins. It feels like the tier break to me. I'm not a Zay Flowers believer while he is with Lamar Jackson. And I just don't trust any of these other running backs quite yet over what appears to be a locked and loaded edge with DeMeco Ryans in Houston. I just feel like that's the spot to where Will Anderson can start coming off the board.
I was talking to Sam earlier today from our league, and we kind of had the same thought that 106 is the cliff. There's a top 5, then there's the cliff at 6. So if I'm sitting at 106, I'm trying to get out.
Yeah.
But if I'm in that spot, I probably will really consider taking Will Anderson. I did ask Kyborg to weigh in on Gibbs. He said, well, he's from the carpet capital of the world, Dalton, Georgia, which we know from his podcast. He said, fine with landing spot, love pass catching, obviously, but mystery. Goff has $5 million dead cap next year. He's gone. I'm not a hooker guy. So good to know he's not a hooker or a hooker guy. And I questioned them running hot inside the 5 last year. So Kyle said Quentin Johnston gets linked up with Herbert, and he has in his howitzer right arm. Send it, baby. So I think Kyle, we've got a Kyle and a Kyborg.
Man.
That's beautiful. Look at all these double names. So Addy, you are sitting here with the 107.
Yeah, you guys are right. This 107 sucks. And one QB, because I think Will Anderson is the pick there after those 5. So
it goes back to what Sig said, be a bean counter. Who is going to give you the most points in IDP leagues for the first probably, at least the first year, first 2 or 3 years, probably going to be Will Anderson over a lot of these guys.
Yeah. So, I mean, the guys that I'm thinking about right here, I mean, Anthony Richardson, just because, I mean, maybe he is a Konami code quarterback and he can average 30 points a game or something because of his rushing ability. So I think he's a contender. Someone like Zay Flowers obviously is going to be a contender here. This is PPR, so I like him okay. Dalton Kincaid, I think, would be an option here. I think he's going to do really well there in Buffalo. I think they're going to use him out of the slot a ton. And then I think, like Jack Campbell would be potentially an option here.
I did ask Sig on
Even
Twitter
though it's
today.
early. I mean, that drop off is very real.
It's a cliff. It's like the golf course.
The ravine.
Just drops into a ravine.
That's right.
And you're not getting out of that. So I did ask Sig on Twitter today. I said, given the draft capital, given the landing spot, are we taking Jack Campbell in the first? And he said it depends on scoring, but yes.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Not only talent but opportunity collide there for Jack Campbell. That's a recipe for a first rounder for me.
Absolutely. So, Addy, you can't trade out. It's a mock draft. You got to stick in there at 7 and pick.
Man, this is tough. Very tough.
I know who I'm going. I'm going Zay Flowers.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go Zay Flowers.
Yeah, I just think the Baltimore Ravens offense is going to look different with the talent they've brought in, especially if they trade for Nuke Hopkins or add to this receiving room. New offensive coordinator. Lamar's gotten paid.
Hopefully they don't. I mean, hopefully they don't.
Yeah.
We'd like Zay Flowers to kind of have some more targets early on.
Yeah,
that is true.
Inside of Bateman and OBJ,
they're fine. They got Andrews. They're fine. That's enough, Lamar.
And Zay Flowers too. Crossing patterns. Jet sweeps. If they can use him, because he's a pretty dynamic athlete out of Boston College. There, they used him pretty much everywhere. He was kind of like Randall Cobb a little bit when Cobb was at UK. He kind of did it all. But yeah, Zay Flowers would probably have been my pick there at 107. It doesn't feel great, but
I know it feels very early, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
That's the way it is.
So I asked Ray what his thoughts on Addison were. He said Jefferson's going to take a lot of coverage away, and Addison just make plays and can get yak. I love the pick. Oh, and what if Dalvin Cook gets traded?
Yeah.
So I agree. I have Addison inside that top 5. So you went Flowers. Bobby from Bobby from all 22 went with Anthony Richardson at the 108. So our first quarterback. I was wondering where Richardson was going to go because as a Colts homer, it's like, could I make a move up to get Richardson? I have no quarterbacks, but I wondered what I would have to give up to get into that draft spot to be able to take him. I was like, is he going to last till the second? Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it seems like he's going to be, at worst, like a late first.
I think so too. So, Addy, I think you can go ahead and force Macri's pick because homeboy set a cue and went to bed. He drove 12 hours back to Canada yesterday. So,
boy, I slept very hard.
Yes,
yesterday.
Yes,
like went to bed at like 8 o'clock. Did not wake up until like 7:30.
Look at you.
Yeah, it was nice.
Needed it.
Had to have it.
Yeah, the golf just gets me bleary-eyed, Bobo. I slept good Saturday night into Sunday.
A 6-hour round that'll wear you
That'll
out.
do it. That'll do it for you. So, we had Bobby from all 22 take Richardson. Tripp went with Zach Charbonnet, and Chris from all 22 went with Bryce Young. So we got 2 quarterbacks off the board inside the first round. Bobo, I thought maybe at least that Bryce Young, CJ Stroud would make it to the second, but not in this mock.
I thought, honestly, for Bryce Young there, I would have probably substituted a Jack Campbell. I'm not so sold on Bryce Young, especially after we saw his height beside of Brian Burns. Even Anthony Richardson, I could be, the pick's fine. I just don't love that. I would much rather pick those type of guys in the second round and grab either I don't know what edge is going to fall into the first round here. Probably none of them outside of Will Anderson. And then maybe none of the linebackers outside of Campbell. So it's fine. Adam's exactly right. After 107, what do you feel like?
Well, and this is an interesting mock because I intentionally pulled in some offensive guys.
Yeah.
Obviously Ray, Chris, and Bobby, all 22. They're looking at all different types of players. So I think they'd feel comfortable with IDP, but I think they're going to be offensive minded primarily. And then of course we have Kyborg as well. So this draft may see the IDP suppressed a little bit, which would be interesting.
It's exactly what Adam just said there, though, at his 107 pick, as far as who is he thinking about. So Anthony Richardson, do you maybe go him? Charbonnet, talent-wise, even though it's a weird situation, and then Macri just goes Kincaid. And Kincaid has been, from what I've seen so far, a pretty locked-in late first-round pick in most of these rookie drafts, which I love.
Yeah, so Macri went Kincaid. Evan is on the clock at 112. We got some folks, I think, writing in here to give us their thoughts on their picks. But I'm sitting here, at the 203, wondering who's going to make it back to me. The homer in me might go Josh Downs.
Okay.
Because I think he has an opportunity to be on the field. Probably not in 2 wide receiver sets because I think that's going to be Pittman and Pierce. But I think he could be that 3rd wide receiver in the rotation.
I wouldn't bank on that too much. I know they just drafted Pierce last year, but I really like Josh Downs, and I don't normally say that out of some of these smaller wide receivers, but Josh Downs could have a very relevant PPR side to him there in Indianapolis.
Is Richardson going to be able to pepper him with targets, though?
That's the question. If it was an established quarterback with Josh Downs, I think I'd feel a little bit better. Obviously, I loved the Richardson pick, but I'm not thinking about 2023 necessarily for any kind of real measuring stick for Richardson. I'm looking at this as, what does he look like year 2, year 3?
What's the ceiling for, Anthony Richardson passing yards, in a season? Is he going to get over 4,000 ever?
Is it going to be like a Justin Fields
type
if it
situation?
is,
Lamar Jackson.
You don't want any of those receivers.
Yeah, because Mooney you thought was going to, do gangbusters last year. And I've seen a lot of DJ Moore shares being, moved back and forth this offseason. I haven't been a purchaser on any of those
Lord no.
exchanges, but
why would you want that? Why would you want that passing offense?
Yeah.
So, Young King goes with Devon Achane there, the Miami running back. And then very quickly, Mike goes with Jack Campbell at the 201. So,
I like the A-Chain pick.
Yeah, Bobo, speak on it.
A-Chain fits that role there that McDaniels wants to run. He kind of feels like a Mostert, kind of feels like a, CMC. I guess he wasn't there maybe with CMC, but was there with the guy that I have in RSO, Elijah Mitchell. They just kind of have a skill set there that they like in that type spread offense type of situation. So I really like that for A-Chain, talented guy. It might be a little bit of a committee there in Miami for a little while, but I do think that A-Chain is probably the more talented back.
Yeah, so asked the guys to give us some commentary on their picks. Chris said about his selection of Bryce Young, not every day you get a chance to take a prospect that threw for 4,800 yards and 47 touchdowns as a sophomore. Only so many chances to take a true number one QB. And then Evan said A-Chain landed in the ideal landing spot for his dynasty value. While he's a bit on the smaller side, his skill set fits perfectly into the McDaniel offense. We've seen other running backs with similar profiles succeed in this system, and I'm optimistic that he can be the next guy up. While Mostert and Wilson are also in the mix, I have a feeling A-Chain can win out and have massive weeks for fantasy managers. Kyborg going with Lucas Van Ness. Wow. I got to get Kyborg's thoughts on this.
It's just going to be his body.
He literally said, I mean, why the hell not? Oh, man.
I don't hate it. I really
amazing.
don't hate it.
He's got great upside. I mean, he absolutely could end up being would you be surprised if he ends up being the best edge prospect or rusher of this class?
I do think we're probably sleeping on Lucas Van Ness a little bit too much. Iowa has good college production, is going to have a great opportunity here probably this year opposite Rashawn Gary. I agree with you. I probably think that we've been suppressing Van Ness in some of these mocks and some of these, little ADP exercises here as of late. 202, maybe a bit too rich, but hey, exactly like Kyborg said. Why the hell not?
Probably wasn't getting back to you.
That's the thing. Here's what I'm thinking here at the 203, because there's C.J. Stroud still on the board, which I think would be a great pick. You have Michael Mayer, Jalen Hyatt, Josh Downs, Tyjae Spears. But the guy that I'm thinking about, because my brain is wired into what do I need for my main dynasty league, so this is a good audition for some guys that I might be selecting. But I need defensive tackle. There's one guy in this draft that I think could actually be a difference maker at a position that has some nice depth. The defensive tackle position was really blossomed here recently. Doing the defensive tackle rankings for the IDP show draft kit, I was surprised at how many guys I had to put above Jalen Carter, but he did end up cracking my top 15, and it may be a little bit early. I'd probably rather get Carter later in the second, but I don't have a late second pick. I'm sitting here at the 203, and I know this guy is not going to make it back to me. So let me get the true difference maker at what is typically a onesie position. I'm going Jalen Carter at the 203.
I'm fine with on most, for Jalen Carter. I have him as my 5th overall IDP in my IDP only rookie rankings. Lucas Van Ness, I had him at 4, so I like both of those last 2 picks, IDP wise.
Yeah.
It's very similar to the Will Anderson pick. Maybe not the ceiling that Will Anderson has, but there's ambiguity right here with the offensive pick. So why not go with the IDP players that seem to have a more solidified role, especially going into 2023?
Kyborg said 3rd ranked rookie in my book and in the IDP show draft kit tiers.
Let's go.
You love to see it. And then Evan posted a picture of Lucas Van Ness's body, as we expected him to do. But Bobby, going back to his pick of Anthony Richardson, said that AR-15, this is Bobby from All-22, not our Bobby around this table. I'm going to call you Bobo for the purposes of this mock. So Bobby said AR-15 is the best athlete in the draft. Even if he only completes 50% of his passes, I could still see him breaking RG3's rookie QB rushing record. So I think he's a first-round pick too, and if I was in that range, I would be taking him. So we have Kyle Bellyfuel. It is really hard keeping all these names straight. We should have gotten some single names in here because you're making it hard on the host. But Kendre Miller, running back, New Orleans, goes off the board at 204. With the rumblings about Alvin Kamara's days being numbered in New Orleans, this could be a sneaky good pick, Bobo.
Yeah, but they did just add the dude from Detroit this offseason.
Jamal Williams.
So it's going to be a committee there. I don't mind it. I like Kendre Miller. I know he's dealing with maybe an MCL or coming off an ACL. I can't remember exactly what, but there's a huge segment of the dynasty community that loves Kendre Miller. So I'm not going to hate on it there. That's definitely in his range.
All right. Addy, what do you think of the pick there? Kendre Miller at the 204, and then Tyjae Spears goes to Ray at 205.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, but all these running backs are 3rd-round picks, right? Kendre Miller was 8th pick in the 3rd round. Devon Achane was 21st pick in the 3rd round. Who just went?
Tyjae Spears and Kendre Miller.
Spears was the
Spears is the guy with no ACL.
Right. He was
Am I remembering this correctly?
He was the 18th pick in the 3rd round, and he has no ACL. So,
but it means he can't tear it, Addy.
That's true. That is true. That's
you can't kill what's already dead.
Bright side. So, I don't like any of these running backs. I just don't. They're just
They're all kind of stinky.
I'll take whichever one falls, right?
Yep.
But I'm not interested in them. So that's why I think like you can see maybe some of these IDPs actually bumped up in 1 quarterback leagues, just because the talent is once you get to the 2nd round, you're like, good Lord.
Yeah, it's not
what
great.
do I do here?
I know. I don't have any 2nd round picks. I've got 4 3rd round picks. I'm trying to get out. I've got 9 picks overall in this draft. I'm like, get me out of this draft. Mm-hmm. Get me into a future draft. Let me pick up some more players in the auction. But Ray said, not sure how much Henry has left. Talking about Derrick Henry. Tyjae will get yards on the ground and through the air. Will get 3rd down work. Has a role immediately and long-term potential. So, Bobo, you take the running backs that I am probably most interested in if we're talking some of these later guys here.
Yeah.
Who was your pick at 206?
I agree with what Adam's saying. A lot of these running backs are really gross. Outside of Bijan and Gibbs, it's just kind of some committees. Roschon Johnson is in a committee to some extent, but it's only Khalil Herbert, and Khalil Herbert doesn't have a ton of draft capital. Yes, he did look good in times last year, but that's a running offense. We just talked about how we're not going after Darnell Mooney and DJ Moore much this offseason, but Roschon Johnson was a very capable backup to Bijan Robinson there at Texas last offseason, or last college season. Roschon Johnson, I love what he has to offer. I love his upside. I love his opportunity here at the 206. Instead of taking a stab on one of these wide receivers, it really only came down to Roschon Johnson or Tank Bigsby for me, but I like Roschon Johnson more.
All right, Bobo, where did you have Roschon Johnson in the mock 3.0? Do you remember?
Probably in this range. It was probably mid to late 2nd, I would say. I've seen him as high as 201. I have also seen him as deep as like 310. So
wow, that's quite a spread.
But in this offseason with this rookie class, that's what you're going to see. It's just, what do you like?
What do you like? And Addy, what do you like here at the 107? Does this feel as gross as 207? Does this feel as gross as 107 did?
Now that I'm looking at it, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind Jonathan Mingo.
Yep.
Rashee Rice is still here. He had the amazing landing spot in Kansas City. He was extremely productive in college too. Mm-hmm. Last year he had 96 catches, 1,355 yards and 10 touchdowns. 9.52 RAS score. So there's some upside there with him. Michael Mayer, Sam Laporta are both still available. Both of them were early 2nd round picks and have good profiles. Jaden Reed, he's a solid prospect too. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind Marvin Mims, another guy that yep. I like here. I mean, so it's interesting. People going with the 3rd round running backs over some of these 2nd round receivers. But it's just, we're going to be getting weird in these drafts.
Let's get weird.
I think here I'm going to go with, man, this is tough.
I know who he's going.
I want to go, I really want to go with Rice, but I think I'm going to go with Mingo.
Yeah.
Just because I like the capital with Mingo. Mingo was
39th pick overall.
Yeah, 208. And then, I mean, 997 RAS score.
And he's tethered to
Bryce Young.
Right. Bryce Young. I mean,
these guys,
Frank Reich,
same class.
Josh McCown. That's a team that is arrow up for me as Carolina. Landing your franchise quarterback, grabbing a wide receiver. They've got to restock the pantry, which they've done to a certain extent with Thielen, with DJ Chark. Now you add Mingo to the mix. I think it could be a feisty offense.
Miles Sanders as well.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Pretty decent little running back core. So, yeah, for a team that drafted 101 this year, I don't expect them to be at the 101 in 2024.
I do not either. So, Kyle Bellyfuel said about his pick, Kendre Miller received solid 3rd round capital, and Alvin Kamara could miss some time with a possible suspension. Miller could be holding down the Saints backfield with Jamal Williams to begin the season with some long-term potential to boot.
That's right.
So I think that's a good pick there.
That's the right pick too, Addy. Jonathan Mingo's the right pick. I've seen him in the late first in some drafts already.
Yeah,
I feel like that's probably the best available wide receiver.
He is my wide receiver 5. It's been fun ranking these offensive guys.
I bet.
I haven't done it in a while.
Stretching some different muscles.
Yeah. But they cold as hell.
Those muscles are cold. You got to stretch, baby. Don't be getting straight into activity.
No. Good. They're really good. They're the best. They're the best ranks of all time.
I think that's
sure. Why not?
Can't argue with it.
I love it.
In that you don't want to argue with this guy about that fact.
Absolutely.
Bobo. So we got Bobby Acker from All 22 on the clock here at 2:08. Still on the board, C.J. Stroud, Michael Mayer, Jalen Hyatt, Josh Downs, Keyshawn Botte, Sean Tucker, Tank Bigsby, Banacanda. I'm just reading down the sleeper ADP. I'm not going to switch over to the IDP ADP because it is garb, just like the redraft ADP is. But maybe we can start to change that, boys, with our we're going to start trickling the rookies into the best ball drafts. So I'm excited to actually start taking some of these guys. Be very interesting to see where Will Anderson goes off the board, where Jack Campbell goes off the board.
I dropped him in the ranks, in the best ball ranks already. I put him around I don't know, probably like overall 60 to 70 range, like in like the DL.
You know what I think?
30 range, I think.
Here's my thought, and this might be too deep. Will Anderson or Joey Bosa? That was my closest,
I think that was actually where in my ranks I was debating Anderson versus Bosa. I had him in that same similar kind of ballpark.
Still Bosa for me. I'm gonna probably.
He's not a rookie guy this year.
I'm gonna be a little low on Anderson for next year.
Yeah,
but I do love Anderson.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously,
he's
very high up there in the ranks.
These next picks are interesting.
Yeah, so we had Marvin Mims, the Denver wide receiver, go off the board at 2:08 to Bobby Acker.
Did they pick up Judy's fifth-year option?
I haven't seen yet.
I'm not sure.
I think they did, but maybe I'm making that up.
Apocalyptic day for our linebackers getting their options picked up, boys.
We're going to continue on talking.
Yeah,
about
not great.
else,
sorry to the Isaiah Simmons and Patrick Queen managers out there. I would say sorry to the Kenneth Murray managers, but they've already been through enough. So
let my boy free.
Tank Bigsby goes off the board at 2:09 to Tripp, and then Chris takes Demarion Overshown at the 2:10. So that's a little bit spicy.
That's LB2. That's it's a little rich for my blood. But, I mean, I do like DeMarvion Overshown a whole lot. In fact, I think you should be saving a spot in the 4th or 5th round for Dorian Williams or DeMarvion Overshown. I think this is a little high for him. I think you're not going to see him go this high most drafts.
What's his draft capital?
He was a 3rd round pick. He was I think 90th overall in the draft. All those linebackers went like in the same range.
Damone Clark, Jabril Cox,
Leighton Vanderneck.
Yeah. But you typically don't see like Dorian Williams and DeMarvion lumped with those other
Sanders,
four, right? Sanders,
Kincaid,
Simpson,
Campbell.
He's making the switch.
And Henley, your boy.
Yeah.
Right? So typically it's Dorian Williams and DeMarvion Overshown that are the guys that aren't in that group. And that's who I think that's where the value is.
But crazy things happen, man.
Right.
Crazy things happen with these linebackers.
And he's on the Cowboys, so there's a lot of Cowboys fans out there.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, I mean,
he was in Texas.
We have Chris's thoughts here. So he said, I almost quit after Campbell was taken, but I decided to stick it out. Overshown as a thunderbolt that loves coming downhill to pop people. With Mozzie Smith in front of him, he should have plenty of opportunities to rack up the tackles with clear space in front of him. So
I like it.
If he can win the job, I don't disagree. I just wonder when we are going to see this guy get on the field.
Yes.
Because we've had similar. I think the draft capital was better for Overshown compared to Jabril Cox and Damone Clark. I think.
Yeah.
I think he was a higher pick than those guys, but we've been waiting for this other linebacker to emerge in Dallas. So I'd rather hitch my wagon. I mean, shoot, if you want to take LVE, like a late discount on LVE. If not, I probably would go Damone Clark if I want a Cowboys LB.
They're not super rotational, though. If they find a guy that they like, they pretty much stick with him. So if Overshown can, show what he's, about in camp, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him starting pretty early and often there.
Yeah, I'm kind of in on him.
Yep.
Those are the two linebackers I'm targeting at this point.
That's the one that could rise the most. Most IDP, people are going to have Overshown as the LB 6, 7, 8 range, but he's the one that could rise the most from an actual production perspective.
So Macri is up here at the 111. We're going to go ahead and force his pick through and see.
This is interesting to see. I love
this. Who he had his Q set at, and it was C.J. Stroud. So I was hoping that C.J. Stroud would make it back to me at 203.
Wow.
But,
says the Indianapolis Colts fan.
You know, just getting one of these quarterbacks. I see them all very similar, the top 3 guys. Richardson 1, probably Bryce Young 2, and then Stroud 3. Yep. But they're all in the same ballpark. And then Levis, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, he definitely is higher than, I would say, Malik Willis. Seems like Malik Willis is dead to the Titans.
That reaction video was a red flag for me.
Yeah, he was pretty fired up.
Him at the house is like, I don't know. I can't get in on Levis, especially with him tightening up.
I know. But, hey, they mentioned it on the Around the NFL podcast today, and I agree. The AFC South just got a little bit spicier. A lot spicier, actually, because when you look at who the quarterbacks were scheduled to be, it was going to be Ryan Tannehill, Gardner Minshew, Davis Mills, and now we've got Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, and Will Levis added to Trevor Lawrence. So suddenly not all these guys are going to pan out, but at least one of them should, and now
they're going to need to, or else Trevor's going to run through all of them.
Yeah. Yep. So the Jags are very well set up. So the AFC South teams needed to keep up in that arms race. So I'm excited because I watch a lot of AFC South games. So I'm not thrilled because some of these guys could work out and suddenly we've got more competition for division titles. But, you know, we also have the second highest drafted guy of that bunch.
In 1 QB, I'm not taking A-Rich at his ADP right now, but I do like where Stroud is. I would much rather take Stroud at 211 than take A-Rich at 108 probably.
That's tough because Richardson's rushing upside, I think, gives him at least a half round to a round separation for Stroud with me.
I don't disagree with that. I probably believe in Stroud to actually work out.
In one quarterback leagues too, it's just tough because
go get Mahomes.
You probably have a quarterback that you're going to start already on your roster.
Yeah, these guys are just bench spots.
They're just bench spots, and you're hoping. So it's like if you hit on the guy, you've got a golden ticket potentially. If Richardson hits, you have the next Jalen Hurts.
But do you take that shot on a Richardson at 108 to sit on your bench, or do you take a shot on a C.J. Stroud to sit on your bench at 211? I'm probably more along the mindset of let me grab a Zay Flowers, Charbonnet, Kincaid, A-Chain, and see what happens with the rest of them.
All right, so we're rolling again, boys. Looks like Evan at the end of the second round goes Jaden Reed, Packers wide receiver. And then looks like Mike Wollert at the 301 went Rashee Rice, wide receiver for the Chiefs. And then Kai Borg goes with Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver for the Giants.
Are y'all in on Jalen Hyatt at all with that landing spot?
Not really.
I'm kind of a Wan'Dale Robinson guy. I think that he showed pretty good rapport with Danny Dimes there in New York. I'm not trusting Danny Dimes to hit Jalen Hyatt deep.
They just got a lot of receivers there now.
Yeah,
dude, and they're all like the same.
They're all the same. They just feel like they're
super fast.
I like Hodgins. I mean, I like him. He's still there. But I mean, there's
and they still got Danny Dimes throwing to him.
Yeah.
So talk about turning back into a pumpkin. Seems like I think I would have let Danny Dimes walk. I don't think I'm paying this guy $40 million a year.
I'd have been putting my money on Saquon and let figure something else out.
I think they're gonna make the playoffs again though, because they're just so well coached and that's a well-rounded team. I mean,
and that's NFC's bad, man. We're gonna see some bad teams make the playoffs.
The defense is good though.
Bobby O's gonna play a lot of snaps this year.
Yes, he is. I'm very excited for that. I'm gonna keep this really simple here, guys. I'm gonna go Josh Downs, wide receiver, Indianapolis Colts at the 303.
You were talking about him about the 203.
That's right. So for him to make it back, I was hoping it was gonna be Stroud, but I will absolutely take Downs here because even though there is, I think, a clear wide receiver 1 and 2 above him, I think he has a chance to crack 3 wide receiver sets because the rest of the wide receiver room is not that good. And he got some decent draft capital, so I'm willing to roll the dice on Josh Downs. But who do we think is the next IDP? Do we see maybe Drew Sanders sneak into the third here? Tyree Wilson is still on the board.
You got to know Belly Fuel's thinking about an IDP here at 304.
I think he's maybe thinking Tyree Wilson, Drew Sanders.
Yeah. Tyree Wilson I've been seeing going pretty late. After having him in the first round of my last mock, he's been going in the 4th round in most of these mocks.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. It's like everyone kind of hates on Tyree Wilson.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I don't think anyone really has the upside of Tyree Wilson. Like that guy is an absolute unit.
Animal.
Yes. I mean, there is truly there's no one built like him. And I think, him missing the combine, him being banged up, I think that's also kind of made people just kind of, not in on him. So yeah, I think there's money to be made there because of that, because I think he is being faded too hard. This was the 7th pick overall in the draft, and he has all these traits, and he has this body type that you cannot get, that you can't teach, right? I mean, I'm in on Tyree Wilson.
You are in on. Why wouldn't you be?
I don't disagree.
He was the third guy I queued up behind Jack Campbell and Will Anderson. But like I thought, we see Kyle Bellyfuel go with Drew Sanders at the 304. And I wanted to just read a quick snippet. The young king wrote a book, God bless him. I've seen this young man type. His thumbs are a blur. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he said about Reed, he compares favorably to other NFL wide receivers that played at Western Michigan and had a great breakout age before transferring to Michigan State. So just to recap, 3rd round here, Rice at the 301, Hyatt 302, Downs 303, Drew Sanders 304, Will McDonald goes to Ray at the 305. This kind of feels a little bit like a reach to me. Will McDonald. Now, we should mention that the All-22 guys did build a platform that looks at a player's performance according to PFF. So this is a little bit, you talked about stretching different muscles, Addy, with ranking offensive guys. It's interesting to see, and that's why I wanted to get these guys in here. It's interesting to see how they view IDP players.
Yeah. Will McDonald is going to be, I think you're going to see some people be very high on him. Some people are out on him, right? They don't like the Jets landing spot. He was someone that wasn't really high on a lot of boards. He was high, but he wasn't 15th overall high. He was typically being, back of the 1st, early 2nd, type of pick,
And exactly like y'all talked about on the recap pod, that seems to be a large rotation there.
Yeah, I'll give you his thoughts here. He just weighed in, Ray did. He said, Will McDonald might be the best pass rusher in the draft. I stand by that, and he won't be the focal point of the Jets' front for opposing offenses, not to mention the offensive tackles in that division aren't anything to write home about.
That's a different take.
They've been breaking down these guys over on the All-22 YouTube channel. Make sure you check that out. But Ray and Chris have been putting in the work, breaking down these prospects, again, from a performance standpoint, since that's the basis of their platform. Also wanted to give some insight here into Kyborg's pick of Jalen Hyatt at the 302. The Giants apparently have a weird fetish for slot wide receivers. Wandale, Crowder, Paris Campbell, Sterling Shepard, and said, hit me with another. Hyatt is a different breed with deep speed for days, something the New York Giants need. Brian Daboll personally called the Rams to trade up 16 spots to take Hyatt in the 3rd. The Biletnikoff Award winner doesn't have a ton of successful NFL comps at his weight, but he might be an outlier worth a shot in the 3rd. Oh, and he was a 4-time state champ at South Carolina in high school, part of the Dutch Fork Silver Foxes. I should have brought my glasses, boys. It's
okay.
Really challenging me to read these.
Great.
One day we'll all graduate to being those. Amen. Yes. Reading these chat comments,
Listen,
you don't know which. It's a choose your own adventure.
We've had a long weekend too. We've been doing a lot of NFL talk. Yeah, we're doing our best here, guys.
Yeah, he was part of the Dutch Fork Silver Foxes. One day we'll all graduate to being among those. Amen. Question mark. Yes, we will. I would love to be a silver fox one day, Bobo.
Yeah, I'm well on my way.
I was gonna say you've got some silver speckled in that hair, and it is extremely attractive in like a George Clooney type of way.
Thank you, baby.
Speaking of Tyree Wilson, you go Tyree Wilson here at the 306.
Yeah, he fell far enough. That's all that boils down to.
Well, he's labeled as a linebacker, so sleeper. Let's clean this up a little bit. I think he's probably going to get the DL designation or at least the dual designation.
Yeah, absolutely. All these guys I think are going to get
a lot of these guys are mislabeled because Will Anderson's listed as a linebacker on here.
He'll get the DL tag as well.
I think so. Addy, you're on the clock with the 307. And it felt like you're just getting smacked with like these tier breaks. Or do you feel better about where you're drafting here about midway through the third?
Well, I do like some of these IDPs that are still around.
I know where Adam's going here, but continue on.
I like how some of these offensive pieces are being knocked down as well.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking at some of these tight ends that probably shouldn't be here in the third.
There's two big ones.
Two big ones. Two that were drafted in the early second. This is a tough choice here for me because I like them both.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are in pretty solid offenses. I've got a lot of Laporta shares already. I'm going to go Michael Mayer here.
Okay, I like it.
I like the landing spot there.
Darren Waller's
the
out
Raiders,
of town.
Right, Waller's gone. I mean, that's, the McDaniels connection there, it kind of reminds you a little bit of Gronk.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're hoping for there.
Okay. So I wanted to read, Kyle Bellyfield gave his thoughts on going Drew Sanders. He said going upside and potential at linebacker with Drew Sanders, while he might be roadblocked at this moment in Denver, Josie Jewell does have an out in his contract after this season. And can Alex Singleton continue his greasy tackle efficiency forever? The answer is yes. He sold his soul. Sanders lit it up his first year at off-ball linebacker for Arkansas and could just be scratching the surface that after he learns a bit in year one.
Mm-hmm.
So I called it. I mean, that seemed, I talked to Kyle Bellyfuel on the after show about Drew Sanders. So I think he was fresh on Kyle's mind, especially he went 101 in that IDP only mock draft that Kyle organized for football guys. So
yes,
don't hate the pick.
Yeah. Like I mentioned on the recap or whatever, the best landing spot episode, him being drafted in the third round, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the best thing for us in rookie drafts. We're not going to have to overspend for this guy who does have plenty of, risk.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what type of position he's going to play. Like we don't know if he's going to be any good. He missed a ton of tackles in college, so we hope that he's going to be good. We love his upside, but you don't know. So yes, if you can get this guy in the third round, love that. That's who, if he was still there for me, I probably would have gone Drew Sanders over Michael Mayer just because, that's what the heart would have wanted.
That's right. So, again, it's interesting to see who these all 22 guys like. I think they got those lenses on because Bobby Acker goes with Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback out of Washington. So, kind of interesting that he picked Forbes as the first CB off the board.
Yeah, that's something I guess we'll keep in our pocket.
What's helping me is, of course, rookies earning playing time, right, is a very important part of their fantasy outlook. So it's helpful for me that Chris, Ray, and Bobby, they're kind of signaling to me who they think the contributors,
right,
the high graders at PFF, the guys with a chance to get on the field earlier are going to be.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think for that stuff, I'm basically just looking at capital.
Yeah.
Because who knows how these cornerbacks are going to shape out. But you do figure that if they're drafted highly, if they're a first-round cornerback, then there's a good chance that team had a serious need. But also, they're probably good. They're probably going to get on the field early. And so, yeah, I think if you're, looking for which corners to, draft in your best balls, because I'm not really interested in drafting them anywhere else. You're looking for, and so to do that, I think draft capital is probably your best bet at this point.
Bobo, I just wanted to bring it up because I had the tab pulled up. You had Roshan Johnson at 202.
Okay.
So he was right around that range. So to recap, the third round, we had Rice, Hyatt, Downs, Sanders, McDonald, Wilson, Mayer, Forbes, and now Tripp is on the clock with the 309.
That's a pretty good third round.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. It's just like, it's not that I hate the class. It's just like rounds 2 and 3 are very similar to me. Like I don't,
Is there that much difference between Kendre Miller at 204 and Drew Sanders at 304?
I don't think so. Right?
Yeah, there's feels like it's a very top heavy, like 5, little bit of like a second tier, and then just a big fat kind of middle after that. I will say the defense here, there's still some juicy pieces on the board. Eddie, I used the ranks from the IDP show draft kit to put together my IDP queue, and Miles Murphy, Nolan Smith, Dorian Williams, Dayon Henley, FAU, Brian Branch, Trenton Simpson. So this is telling me we're going to have a chance to draft some nice IDPs
Yeah.
later in drafts, Bobo.
Oh yeah, 4th round, 5th round. What do you like?
That's the sweet spot, I think, in this draft, because a lot of those edge guys were late round picks, right?
And this Demaria,
Or
his
not
first
late
name?
round, but late first round picks.
The
Yes.
overshown types are going to be in the 4th. This
And
is
the
a little bit of
overshones.
an anomaly here.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a 210.
Right.
in
I don't
most
think
rounds.
so. In fact, I truly think that in most of your leagues, you can probably find those guys in the 4th and 5th.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Bobby said, and it's good that he kind of admitted this. I'll be honest, not 100% sure if it was the right pick in this format, but I couldn't let Chris Lombardi get Forbes. Forbes is my favorite player in this draft behind Dorian Thompson-Robinson, which was the quarterback, I believe. Forbes is a playmaker and a pick-6 machine, so go ahead and target the rookie CB.
I got
So
And hey, that's what happens in rookie drafts. You know, people do stuff like that. They get their guys. They want players that they like on their teams, and I'm all for that. But it also is going to help value fall to you.
Yep. And
Yeah.
that's going to happen. There's going to be
It's
some
gonna happen.
strange picks.
Yeah,
Not everybody in your league is
Locked
super in tune to
as a
the
podcast.
IDPshow.com.
It'd be hilarious
ranks.
if everyone in your league had a podcast. You are like, guys, did you listen to my podcast
I
yet?
think most people do have podcasts these days.
I think the majority, the statistics are starting to bear that out.
Uh-huh.
So some guys still on the board for offense, though. Keyshawn Butte, Sean Tucker, Israel Abanikanda, Zach Evans, Will Levis is still on the board. Looks like
Sean Tucker was undrafted, though, right?
Yeah, he was a UDFA.
Where did he land?
Because of the heart issue, he's got some type of a heart or lung issue. I think he's got.
it's a
going
heart
on.
defect, I'm pretty sure.
He didn't run a 40 at his pro day. I do know that.
Where did he end up landing?
He ended up with the Buccaneers, maybe.
Let's see. Are we
I feel
talking
like-
about Sean Tucker? Do they have his landing spot yet? So Sleeper does not even have him. Oh, he signed a deal with the Bucks.
Okay, that's what.
Sean Tucker signed with the Bucks. So other guys: Darnell Washington, Deuce Vaughn, Evan Hall, Luke Musgrave, Cedric Tillman, Chase Brown, Tank Dell, Sam Laporta. Addy, you mentioned you've got some Sam Laporta shares. How many rookie drafts have you done so far?
I think I'm in 3 right now.
Okay. What have been some guys that you've been targeting where you've been drafting?
All right, so the 109, that is the no position left behind league with a lot of other legends in the IDP world. That is...
Is that the one with H-Bomb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
H-Bomb's in there, Drew's in there.
Yeah, they mentioned that on the pod, right?
Tom K's in there.
Yeah. Was that the one you posted the screenshot from?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a super flex, tight end premium, full IDP. So I had the 109 in there, and I took Dalton Kincaid. Then I had the 209 and I took Rasheed Rice. I had the 309 and took Tyree Wilson, and I added him to. Also, I took over a team that was already like really good, so I don't want to take too much credit for this. But I added Tyree Wilson to a team that has like Myles Garrett, Brian Burns, Kwity Paye.
Ooh, that's sick.
Someone else that's super sick. I'm blinking, but anyway, added him to just a silly unit. So I took him at 309, and then 409 I took Dorian Williams. So I know you guys are probably going to snipe me now.
Absolutely. I am looking here, and I think if this guy makes it back to me, since you guys have already picked, I think I'm gonna go Nolan Smith.
Yeah.
At the 403. Just like what I think it was you, Addy, who said the comp for Nolan Smith, especially where he landed, is Hassan Reddick.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me I could have possibly the next Hassan Reddick, where we saw Hassan Reddick blow up last season and where Hassan Reddick currently is, yes, please.
Hassan Reddick, was that his first year of his deal last year in Philly?
Yes, because he was with the Panthers before that.
They gave him a 3-year deal?
3-year deal, yep.
Okay, so, I mean, Hassan Reddick's definitely going to be there next year and the year after. But after that, I mean, he's probably going to go get paid somewhere, like really paid. And it's probably going to be hard for Philly to keep him because they've already allocated all this money elsewhere, right? So, yes, Nolan Smith may not produce year 1, but he's getting to learn alongside Hassan Reddick, who he's being comped, as. And then he's going to have this amazing defensive line with him, even if Josh Sweat moves on. He's going to have Jalen Carter. He's going to have Jordan Davis. He's going to have Milton Williams all still there, all with a few years under their belt. And he'll probably be, the the top edge rusher, or at least the next best one. So, yeah, I do like Nolan Smith quite a bit. I mean, he's in an amazing situation. He blew up the combine.
It's just a size thing.
Yeah, and he can add on weight.
Yeah.
You always talked about you trust the Chiefs' decision makers. You trust their ability to develop talent. I feel the same about the Eagles.
Everyone just gushing all over the Eagles.
Howie
and
Roseman.
Howie Roseman.
The other GMs were getting angry at the media coverage and the flowers being thrown Howie Roseman's way. So that's when you know you've won a draft, when the other GMs are saying, pipe down, members of the media, pipe down, Twitter.
He just does the smart things that other teams should be doing. It's like, with Jalen Carter, right? I mean, after what, like the third or fourth pick, like every time someone was going up to Goodell was going up to the clock, we were all expecting Jalen Carter to be that pick, because he should have been. I mean, he's truly he's probably like the first or second best player in this draft, right?
I mean, that's a lot of analysts would say that he is the best talent in the draft. Now, off-field concerns, and not just the racing incident, but some other character concerns with work ethic and relationship and rapport, some serious concerns amongst GMs, but the talent is absolutely undeniable.
Yeah.
So and he lands in a spot where I think that locker room is going to help him keep his head on straight. He gets to learn from Fletcher Cox. He gets to learn from Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick, and you've got a very good group around him, coaches included, to help.
All those former teammates too, all his buddies probably. N'Kobe Dean's there.
I was going to say, I think the Eagles actually changed their Twitter handle to reflect the fact that they are pretty much the pro equivalent of the Georgia Bulldogs.
That's right. Then they bring in, was it Chris Smith that went there maybe? Someone went there. Someone else from Georgia went there.
Of course, they traded for DeAndre Swift as well.
That's right, yeah.
So, but we have some more picks, boys. So Tripp goes with Sam Laporta. Chris Lombardi goes with Tank Dell. Macri's on the clock, so let's go ahead and force that through, Addy, and see who Macri had up next in his queue. And then we'll see what the Young King does. So Luke Musgrave goes off the board to John Macri at the 111. So there was your Tank Dell pick to Chris at the 310, Baba. What do you think of that? You're a big Tank. Well, no, you're Tank Bigsby. There's too many Tanks.
Well, I do like
the names are confusing.
Tank Bigsby is good. I also like Tank Dell as well. I mean, he's going to be probably a special teams guy if you have return yardage, kickoff retarded.
You just got canceled.
It's late. We're late. It's late, guys. Kickoff return yardage.
That is a very much a word that you would mush together
in your league. Tank Dell is a guy that you need to pay attention to. There's not a ton of wide receivers there in Houston also.
Man.
Sorry. It's now 10:40, and this is the fourth podcast.
This is early for us. This is early.
How many days? But, yeah, Sam Laporta, I agree with. I would have been thinking about him or Mayer there at Adams' pick. And then Musgrave is interesting as well. It is a good tight end class, so I think tight ends are going to come off the board fully in the third and the fourth round probably.
All right, Addy, what do we think Young King's doing here at the 312?
Young King's probably doing something that's very smart, if I had to guess, Josh. I'd say he's probably looking at someone like Henley.
He's going to simultaneously drop not only the pick, but also
I know. I told him
4-page
go ahead. Go ahead and make the pick and then write the book. But Chris said Tank Dell was my number 5 wanked. Oh man, number 5 ranked wide receiver pre-draft, and he fell into an amazing opportunity. He has the movement skills, speed, and route running ability to earn a starting spot on day 1. Next to Robert Woods and Nico Collins. Addy, it's your turn.
Look at what he did.
Were you going to say Cedric Tillman?
I was going to say Cedric Tillman. I don't guess I actually did though.
No, I'm sorry. I cut you off because I was like, let me get this in really quick.
It was in the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that pick for old Young King.
It's great.
Yeah, he said Tillman was one of the few wide receivers in this class with the size, that is true, and the speed to compete on the outside. The Tennessee offense looks way different from anything we might see at the pro level, so I have my doubts about his ability to play NFL caliber football. That being said, Donovan Peoples-Jones is a free agent in 2024, so Tillman could secure a role in that Browns offense sooner rather than later.
That's a great pick because Amari kind of faded a little bit last year. David Bell and Peoples-Jones have not been great. Wollert's pick there of Chase Brown has been a riser. He's been a guy that if they decide to, for cap reasons, let go of Joe Mixon, then Chase Brown is going to be a riser even more in some of these rookie IDP mocks.
Here's the thing, though. He's a 5th-round pick, right?
Sure.
You know, all these guys, they're going to get replaced with someone with the higher draft
all
cap.
stink.
I'm just saying, opportunity-wise, Brown could rise.
I know.
I don't like him.
I get it.
But
yeah.
He's a talked-about name right now.
Yeah, I see it.
This is where it's an interesting pick. I want to see where Kyborg goes.
I've got a
here.
ton of fourths, so this is extremely curious to me. I've got a ton of thirds as well. So Daddy's paying attention right now because it is one of those drafts where who the hell knows how these things are going to shake out and what is consensus, quote unquote, going to look like. So yes, very curious to see, does Kyborg dip back into the IDP? Well, there's still some very nice names on the board here. Miles Murphy, Nolan Smith, Dorian Williams. He goes with Will Levis, quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. According to the coach, the QB3 on the depth chart, but I think we all expect him to be the QB2, if not the starter, should they move on, and they absolutely should. Trade Tannehill, trade Henry, take whatever you can get for these guys, and just start the rebuild, because if you suck and Levis is not the answer, just blow it up, go 3-14, and then take Caleb Williams. Get your true quarterback. I think it's smart to keep taking these shots. I would do the same thing. Draft Malik Willis. Draft Will Levis. See if one of these guys hits, but don't be afraid to bottom out and get the true franchise quarterback. So he goes with Will Levis, and I'm sitting here on the board, and I have an interesting decision here because Miles Murphy still on the board. We talked about succession plans with Nolan Smith eventually taking over for Hassan Reddick if Reddick were to leave in free agency. Miles Murphy, same thing. You've got the whitest defensive ends in the league with Trey and Sam there, and Miles Murphy gets to learn from these guys and eventually take the reins. But you also have Dorian Williams and Deion Henley, FAU, Brian Branch, Trenton Simpson, Derek Hall. Boy, this 4th round, Addy, is absolutely loaded with some IDPs.
Don't do it, Josh.
I'm going to go Deion Henley.
Okay.
At the 403. Who were you not wanting me to take?
I thought you were going to betray me specifically and go Dorian.
No, I'll let you have Dorian.
But he doesn't allow me to have Henley. Nah.
Sorry, Bobo. I just think I am so high on Henley. I really think this guy could be a surprise rookie LB1 this season.
I was really high on a guy named Isaiah Simmons, who was the 7th pick of the 2020 draft as well. And we just saw the Arizona Cardinals refuse to take his 5th-year option. Henley reminds me a little bit of a guy named Isaiah Simmons. I think there is upside. I think it's reasonable upside, but there also should be some built-in bust cost as well. I do think that it's great that the coach there for the Chargers, Staley, this is one of the first linebackers that he's drafted because Kenneth Murray, like we talked about before the pod, was a Anthony Lynn pick in 2020 before Staley came in. So this is interesting. Eric Kendricks has clearly taken a step back here in the last couple years, still very serviceable in IDP. From a talent perspective, at the 403, not only do I love Deion Henley, but I also love Belly Fuel's pick of Miles Murphy.
Murphy, yeah. That's a great pick there at 404. Tremendous value.
Here's another thing with Henley that does scare me a little bit. Yes, I do like Staley being there, but because Staley is who he is and probably has pretty high expectations for his linebackers, there's a chance if Henley struggles out the gate, he doesn't put up with it.
Mm-hmm.
And he is just a 3rd-round pick. So, I mean, it's not the biggest deal if you whiff on a 3rd-round pick. I'm rooting for Henley. I think he's going to be solid, but he's not someone I'm willing to overdraft now. There's too many other. I want the linebacker that falls.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I feel pretty much the same about linebacker 2 through 6.
Yeah.
Yep. Kyborg talked up his Levis pick. He said, I trashed Levis in his pre-draft evaluation, his rookie profile article, and put a cherry on top on the Dynasty podcast. He's the classic try-hard guy I usually root against, not to mention his banana-eating ways. I would never invite him to Froyo. That being said, I could be dead wrong about him as an NFL prospect. I'm approaching this as next player on my board rather than friendship. The Titans traded up to take him at the top of the second round, and he has the physical traits you want for a fantasy quarterback. He runs without caution. Probably needs a little bit of caution if we're being honest, and has a strong arm. If you get 75% of Josh Allen or Jay Cutler with wheels, that's an interesting comparison. You would be thrilled in the third round. The hit rate of fifth round running backs or wide receivers with a small window of opportunity is so low that I'd rather take someone with some semblance of value in 2 to 3 years. Just don't ask me to hang out with them anytime soon. So there you go.
What a legend.
I mean, this is why this dude works with the fantasy footballers, y'all.
Yeah.
He's a triple threat. He's a podcasting ace, he's an editing ace, he's a writing ace, and he's a great friend. Quadruple threat.
Mm-hmm. He's funny.
He is funny. That's a very fun comment. I'm glad we didn't have any silver foxes worked into that one to tongue tie me. But after.
It's also much better for Kyborg doing this as opposed to coming on the show for 3 hours.
Yes, and him slowly sinking into the abyss and regretting his life decisions. Kyle Bellyfuel goes, like we said, with Miles Murphy. Ray goes with Jair Brown, safety for the San Francisco 49ers. At the 405, Bobo, you went Trenton Simpson. Talk us through your pick while Addy makes his.
Same type situation that we're talking about tonight with Patrick Queen's fifth-year option not being extended. Isaiah Simmons not being extended. Jordan Brooks probably won't be picked up as well. Trenton Simpson maybe looks to be the heir apparent linebacker there for Baltimore alongside a guy by the name of Roquan Smith. I have seen some kind of pegs to the same style of play as Devin White, and if that is the pass rushing opportunity upside that Trenton Simpson provides, I'm all for it there at the 406.
There you go. I wanted to give the explanation here from Ray on taking Jair Brown. He said that Jair Brown led the country in INTs the last 2 years, goes to a defense that we know what they know what they're doing in San Francisco. He just makes plays on the ball, and he's a badass tackler. So that is the explanation on Jair Brown. Kyle Bellyfuel said Miles Murphy was an excellent value for Cincy near the end of the first. He has all the traits and plays. Plays both the pass and the run with success. The Bengals will have to pay Joe Burrow soon, and Murphy gives them flexibility to move on from Hubbard or Hendrickson. That's a great point. It may look crowded now, but Murphy has the talent to shine through, like his long-term potential a lot. So once again, Kyle Bellyfuel locked in, making great picks, Eddie.
Yeah, I love that note about having to pay one of those two guys. So now it's up to me, and like I just mentioned, once those first 5 linebackers are off the board, it's like a little alarm that goes off that now it's time to draft the 6. So the 6th one available for me is Mr. Dorian Williams.
And this is your guy.
Mm-hmm.
This is my guy at this point. Yeah. I think that he's just got massive upside, man. I think he's going to be the guy that is alongside Matt Milano, and I think Matt Milano could potentially move on in the next year or two, just because that's just how things go, right? So, yeah, I think he has a really good opportunity. He was extremely productive in college, great tackle rate, one of the best tackle rates among all the linebackers, and then again, just I love the value. That's the main thing, right? I view these linebackers the same. Dorian Williams or DeMarvion Overshown is likely going to be the best value.
That's right. Take whoever falls so you could scoop up value elsewhere, right?
Yep.
That's the game we could play with these linebackers.
You know you're going to get one of these guys late, so figure out your other positions earlier. I think you know if you can for sure get one of these guys in the 4th round, I think that should be your move.
That's the spot. And I've got 403 in our main league, so I know that he's not going to make it that far because he's not getting past Bobo at the end of the 2nd, maybe.
Who is this now?
Dayon Henley.
I don't know. I'm kind of fading on Henley a little bit, to be honest with you.
Don't fade on your boy.
I do love it, but I think there's an opportunity that he's not going to work out. Like he's not a first or second round linebacker. I don't know.
My thing is just who else is there?
I agree with
because
that.
I agree with you, Addy, that we could see Staley bench Deion Henley. Is he going to turn to Kenneth Murray at that point? Because I think Kendricks, outside of injury, is probably pretty safe.
Yeah.
But it's tough because I think I probably should have gone Miles Murphy there. I think that's the better pick. But I did want to get one of these linebackers, and I knew that they were not going to make it back around, and sure enough, they didn't. So I think probably should have gone Murphy, but I'm not. I probably would do a Henley all over again because I want one of these linebackers.
Looking at the linebackers right now, it's kind of interesting. I mean, there are a decent amount of top linebackers that were kind of later picks. Like Nick Bolton was the 26th pick of the second round. Foye was the 26th pick of the sixth round. Fred Warner.
Wow, he was that late?
Fred Warner was
Fred
Warner was a third round pick. Logan Wilson was a third round pick. Pete Warner was a late second round pick. Troy Anderson was a late second round pick. We know that Nakobe Dean was a third round pick. Bobby Okereke was a third round pick. Ernest Jones was a third round pick.
So this is kind of a little bit of the opposite of the edge rushers.
Frankie Louvu, yes. First round capital, honestly.
We just don't see that with linebackers either.
And has it worked out lately? I mean,
no.
You know, the last.
It's just all these fifth-year options getting declined.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, I think that what that's telling you is it's really hard to evaluate linebacker.
Yeah.
And it's hard to know who is going to be good.
And maybe the NFL suppresses these guys and pushes them down into the later rounds because they don't know what the hell to do with these guys, Pablo.
Also, is Ernest Jones maybe the biggest winner of the Rams not drafting? I mean, biggest winner maybe of the draft.
Any linebacker.
Didn't pick up a free agent linebacker. Didn't pick up a linebacker of note in the draft.
Should point out this is going to be a fun episode. We're going to talk with Scott Bogman, who hosts the Individual Defensive Podcast with Gary Davenport. We're going to do a winners and losers post-draft IDP. So Ernest Jones is going to be on that list, Bobo, because I agree with you. I think he is the biggest winner coming out of the draft. So, Addy, if you want to force John's pick here, we had Keon White go to Bobby Acker at the, the 408?
Yep.
And then Luke Schoonmaker?
Yep.
Schoonmaker going to the Dallas Cowboys tight end, going at the 409 to Tripp. And then Deuce Vaughn goes to Chris Lombardi at the 410, the Dallas running back. Darnell Washington goes to Macri, so he doubles up with tight ends.
Macri's drafted 3 tight ends, which I love.
It's hilarious because it reminds me of Johnny the Greek setting his cue in our All-22 draft, and he had to leave, and it was quarterback. And he ended up with like 8 quarterbacks, and he said, Jesus Christ, I didn't expect my auto draft to give me all of these mid quarterbacks.
I do love the Deuce Vaughn story of his dad calling him to ask him to come to work. That was close to, it was a touching moment.
A lot of dads around this table found that to be quite an emotional moment.
Deuce Vaughn, it's going to be fun to see him in the NFL. Isn't he like 5'8"?
He's teeny.
Yeah, we'll see what that looks like.
Hey, man, if we can have another Darren Sproles potentially, I'd love that.
I'm all for
Danny
it.
Woodhead.
That'd be sweet.
I like this next pick.
Yeah, Nolan Smith.
Here.
It's really tough to speak tonight.
Yes, it's hard. Its brain is just mush at this point.
Yeah.
Next two picks are a smash. Evan Ronda goes Nolan Smith at the 412, which is a super nice value for Nolan Smith.
Yes, he said super athletic edge rusher on a team full of incredibly talented players. He won't get as much volume as we probably want to see, but I expect him to be efficient with his snaps and eventually develop into the kind of player that can truly make a difference on my fantasy team.
Actually,
so, agreed.
I like the next pick of Wollerts as well. Owen Papo there at the 501.
Arrow up with the Isaiah Simmons news,
He's going to have opportunity.
As much as it pains you.
Yeah, it's but if Simmons doesn't play that role, if he plays more of the slot, the only person he's really got to get in front of is Kaiser White, and especially too if they continue to bring your boy Zaven off the edge, then maybe there is opportunity for Owen to.
Owen may be starting along Kaiser White.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so we got Kyborg up here at the 502, so we'll see who Kyborg goes with his final pick here. Bobo, help me out here. Are there any offensive guys on the board? Because I'm more familiar with these IDPs.
Yeah.
with that being the topic of our podcast. But
Sure.
help me out here with some of these offensive guys. Is there anyone in the 5th round that is worth throwing a dart on, in your opinion?
So if you are a Devy guy, then you probably have been on the Keyshawn Butte train for a couple years now. He was a guy that came into LSU that people were, people were saying was supposed to be really, really good, and then he's kind of fallen in people's ranks in the offseason, and he's landed in New England and just not a real great situation. Sean Tucker was a UDFA that we just talked about that went to the Buccaneers. Israel Ibanaconda is actually a really talented running back. I actually had a 2nd-round grade as far as rookie mocks are concerned on Ibanaconda. It's just that he's obviously in a weird situation now. I will say the glaring obvious pick here offensively for me is Zach Evans.
Okay.
You're behind Cam Akers, who, if you don't remember, the Rams tried to give away about mid-season for some weird reason. I don't know what was going on there.
Someone please come get this guy.
Absolutely.
Help us recoup some draft capital.
And then Akers played a ton to end the season, but just he wasn't good. It was just because the Rams were terrible at that point. But I will say Zach Evans has a massive opportunity to get some pretty early down usage, in my opinion, because I don't think Cam Akers is anybody standing in his way. But to answer your question overall, no. I mean, maybe if you're an A.T. Perry guy, or if you believe in maybe one of these, Chris Rodriguez to the Washington Commanders, the guy Trey McBride out of Kentucky. No, that's not right. Anyways, I forget where McBride is, but
Dwayne
McBride,
There you
Minnesota running back.
yeah. So I mean, he might have an opportunity. Also, it's 5th round gets weird in this draft, I'll admit.
So I'm looking here.
And then Hooker also.
Yep, Hooker's on there. If you believe in the succession plan for the Detroit Lions. Some IDP still on the board. Felix Anaduke Uzama, Brian Branch, Derek Hall, Kalijah Cansey, Sidney Brown, BJ Ojolari.
FAU seems like a smash in the 5th to me.
Yep. I mean, reminds you a lot of what they did with Karlaftis last year, right? That was who they took at late 1st. And, yeah, I mean, FAU has a great profile, very productive.
And his draft, Karlaftis was mid-second.
Oh, was he? Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah, and you can get this guy,
Huge
4th
value.
or 5th.
Frank Clark out the door.
Yep.
So, opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, you'll see these IDPs like that bump down just because no one knows what to do with those 2nd and 3rd rounds. Like, they're just all those offensive guys are the same. So I mean, you'll see a lot of those back end first IDPs getting pushed down in your rookie drafts. I think this will be a nice draft for like your 4th and 5th round. I think you'll be able to really get a decent amount of guys that were drafted in the 1st round of the actual NFL draft.
Just exactly what I was thinking about, Adam. The same thing that article a couple months ago I came out with, safety and safeties. If you have a safety that you believe in that's got some decent draft capital and goes into a good defensive back role, this might be the round to take him in. There is still, Jordan Battle is still on the board here.
No safeties have been selected.
Yeah, none.
Except for Jair Brown.
Okay, yeah. And I actually like Jair Brown. At 405, that's not a huge investment there.
Wow, I was wondering. Kyborg was taking a long time on the clock, so I thought, is he going IDP again? And sure enough, he does, going BJ Ojolari. Of course, living there in Arizona.
Homer pick.
Yeah, he's not a Cardinals fan. He's a Falcons fan, being from Atlanta originally, but not a surprise that he would go after the team that's in the city where he lives currently, Eddie.
Yeah. It's a good pick for the 5th round. I'm not going to have any BJ Ojolari.
Yeah, that combine did me in on BJ.
Yeah.
Kyborg is dropping some IDP stats in the chat that I've got to read here for the room. So let's see what he had to say. Ojolari was the top DN left for me. Cards took him 41st overall. Solid career pressure rate, 14.8% in the SEC. Makes me think his game can translate to the NFL. Cardinals desperately need pass rush with Watt and Allen gone. Also, I wanted to sound cool ending the draft with IDP. Seacrest out.
He's not wrong talking about the opportunity. I mean, there is going to be opportunity there.
I mean, maybe has the best opportunity out of any of these guys.
Yeah.
So
best opportunity. Talent, I think Macri was not as crazy about this one, but Sometimes talent doesn't matter as much as opportunity.
That's
Eddie.
right. And we did mention this was one of the youngest prospects in the draft. He got early playing time at LSU. So, I mean, there's a lot of unknown, right? I mean, this is a really nice upside pick. If you're getting him here in the 5th round, love that. But if I've seen people take him in the 3rd round, I hate that.
That's too much.
Way too rich.
But to finish the draft, Josh makes maybe the best pick of the draft, drafting a 1st round edge at the 503 in Felix Andubuike. That was the pick to make there.
This allows me to make up for not going edge with Miles Murphy in the 4th. Get a guy that I feel very similar to.
I love it.
Landing with the Chiefs, I did check to make sure Frank Clark was actually a free agent. And hilariously enough, on his little Google about kind of profile from Wikipedia, Frank Dominic Clark, nicknamed the Shark, is an American football defensive end who is a free agent. Have you all ever heard Frank Clark called the Shark before?
No, never.
But I do like it. But I don't know how it ended up in the first line of his Wikipedia bio.
Was Frank Clark the dude in the Lambo with the Uzis?
Yes.
Okay.
Adam's a big fan for that reason.
Still unsigned,
Still
right?
sitting out there. Yep. So Kyle Bellyfuel goes with Tucker Kraft, Packers tight end. A little bit of a homer pick for Kyle
like
there at the 504.
Is Dunlap still in Kansas City?
I don't think so.
He's
Okay.
out as well.
Wow. Man,
Yeah,
Felix Andubuike.
They shed a lot of guys along that defensive line. A lot of that team. It was a lot of just like rentals, guys they were picking up at the Y to help take them to the Super Bowl. So Ray goes with Keyshawn Boutte at the 505, and you went with Zach Evans at the 5-6. So very good pick there, Bobo.
Thank you.
Makes a lot of sense. Anyone with the Rams, I am extremely interested because this
Nobody
team
there.
is so talent poor.
Nobody there.
So
Cooper Kupp.
Addie, this is your last pick. You've gone Zay Flowers, Jonathan Mingo, Michael Mayer, and Dorian Williams. Beautiful draft. Who are you thinking about taking it home with in the 5th round?
Yeah, it's between 3 people right here. I like Michael Wilson, drafted to Arizona. I think he could have a nice little opportunity, and then once Kyler returns to full health, that could be interesting there.
Mm-hmm.
And then IDP wise, I'm thinking of Brian Branch. I think this would be a really nice spot to get him.
Do you know who I heard Greg Rosenthal comp him to?
Who?
C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Wow.
Right?
Uh-oh.
And he said he just so happens to land on the team with C.J.
Adam's
Gardner-Johnson.
adjusting
I do love that. But I want to do something for the brand here, I think, and go with my boy,
Mm-hmm.
Derek Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, excellent pick.
37th overall.
Dorian Williams is your, I think, number 1 baby, but Derek Hall, I think, might be number 2 for you.
Derek Hall he honestly may be number 1 because I feel like I'm going to be able to get Derek Hall in a lot of drafts in the 5th round.
He's going to go undrafted in a lot
in the 5th round, undrafted.
Yes, we're seeing he's close right here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure he would have gone undrafted in this one if I didn't take him here.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I love Derek Hall. I like his game. I love where he landed. I think he can beat out Boye Mafe pretty easily.
Yeah.
Drummond Jones is there inside now. Uchenna is still Uchenna. Let's ride.
I love it.
So let's give some more insight here. So Ray said, I don't know. I'm just here so I don't get fined. And Boutte needs to be on the straight and narrow or else he'll be fined and Belichick will banish him out of the league. But if he sticks to he has top 40 talent we saw as a freshman worth the flyer. Kyle Bellyfuel said Tucker Kraft might be the second tight end Green Bay drafted on day 2, but the former South Dakota State Jackrabbit has legit game. There is plenty of opportunity for the taking at tight end for the Pack, and I expect Kraft to battle Musgrave in camp. Plus, I also expect Green Bay to find ways to utilize both its new young athletic tight ends either way.
Great tight end class.
Yes.
I mean, it's not the worst class, right? A tight end's good.
Edge is good.
Edge is really
Very
good.
good.
Linebackers pretty good. The first 7. I mean, I'm fine with all the top 7 linebackers pretty much. Safety's not very good.
Yeah.
Running back sucks outside of the top 2.
Maybe a couple of the running backs pan out. Maybe you've got 2 more that work out.
But good luck. And also, you're going to be concerned because they don't have the capital. You're going to be concerned, are they going to get replaced next year?
The wide receivers, to me, seem like they might not have any opportunity.
Yeah, wide receiver, who the hell knows?
Yeah. Like, Rashee Rice seems cool, but is it just because he's on the Chiefs? If he's not on the Chiefs, does he go undrafted? You know, like
in rookie drafts,
in
you
our
mean?
5 round.
Yeah,
you
probably
know?
so. Well, yeah, he wouldn't be in the second round.
He'd be maybe a 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one guy that hasn't been drafted yet that I have been seeing drafted in a lot of mocks has been Hendon Hooker, even in 1 QB leagues. Hendon Hooker seems like a nice stash to me. If I've got a 4th or 5th that I don't really care about, I like the rushing upside that maybe Hooker provides. I don't know. We'll see.
Macri could go with a 4th tight end at the 5'11" here, but
I like that 2 Green Bay tight ends have been drafted here.
well, I think you want to open up your mind to what this Green Bay Packers offense could be, because it's a new era. Yeah. It's the start of the Jordan Love era. I think this team is going to look very different. Mark Sessler said it very well on the Around the NFL podcast today. I'm not saying it's going to be good, but I'm weirdly fascinated in what this Packers team is going to look like without 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, back to back for the past almost 30 years.
Yeah.
The Packers have been spoiled with transcendent quarterback play. So we'll see where Jordan Love stacks up, but I could see a young passer wanting to lean on those 2 tight ends, short passes across the middle, easy completions, Mm-hmm. So I think it's a smart pick to target that position for that team.
Mm-hmm.
So we should mention here, since this is the IDP show, some IDPs left here because we've got looks like 4 picks left. So there's going to be some talent on the board. Brian Branch, Kalijah Cansey, Sidney Brown, Isaiah Foskey, Servassier Dennis, Addy. Yeah. Byron Young, we mentioned him on the Landing Spot pod. Yaya Diaby. Thule. Nope, too late to try that name.
Yeah.
Ivan Pace Jr., Isaiah McGuire, Antonio Johnson, Nick Herbig.
I kind of like the Henry To'oto'o guy.
He landed in
Houston.
Yeah, that is pretty nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. His face went from to ooh.
Yeah.
Once, because I agree. Average, middle tier kind of linebacker, but primo spot.
Well, it could have been like Noah Sewell, who went to Chicago, which is like, when did he get an opportunity?
Jack Sanborn will absolutely cut your throat to remain LB3, so don't even think about it. Yeah. Sewell, rigatoni. I've got that image stashed somewhere in our Slack, and might have to bust it out one day, because that was one of the better John Macri jokes.
He's a good
Bo. So
Macri was great. I loved meeting John Macri. That was one of the highlights of my year, honestly.
When he stepped out of the car and Jake and Evan and myself were coming out of the shed to meet him, it was just like, I don't know, seeing Bigfoot or something. Like, is this actually happening?
Did you get chills?
I did. We kind of mentioned it. I don't know if we mentioned it on the pod, but we talked about it a lot this weekend. All the guys, like, weirdly tall.
Wicked tall.
Too much height.
Yeah.
In this group.
And we're not like shorties. Like, we're average height, I'd say.
Yes.
Probably above average for
I'd say you're definitely
most.
above average at 6'7".
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely ripped too.
Truly.
What's Evan? Evan's got to be 6'2", 6'3". He's intimidating.
He's a volleyball player.
Yeah.
Can you tell we're stalling to give Tripp time to make his pick? I think he's got some unruly children he's trying to get to bed.
We need to force this one.
It is midnight though, so hopefully that's not the reason.
Yeah, he's probably asleep with his phone on his chest.
Nodded off in the recliner. Yeah. I'm proud of Kyle B for staying up this late. That's a good job by him. So let's see if we got any more. Just Kyle B.
Any favorite picks of the draft here as we slowly wrap up? Any situations that you really like? I'll say,
Bobo, let's talk about your squad here. You went Will Anderson,
sure.
Roschon Johnson, Tyree Wilson, Trenton Simpson, Zach Evans.
I feel like this draft right here, you almost need to not have a guy and just go with best player available. Because if not, then you're going to just be seen reaching. Will Anderson, best player available at 106. Maybe Roschon is a reach at 206. I disagree. Tyree Wilson at 306. Oh, boy, I love that. And then Trenton Simpson, I love the upside at 406. There's not a ton of risk involved there. Zach Evans is going to have opportunity. Sure, why not? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and take a lap like I won the draft, but as far as letting players fall, that's what you do. You let players fall and, just draft them accordingly.
So
and just like what I'm saying here to lead into your draft here, Josh, Your draft was fantastic. Let me read it for you.
Thank you.
Jahmyr Gibbs at the 103, Jalen Carter at the 203, Josh Downs at 303, Deion Henley, unfortunately, at the 403, and then maybe the pick of the draft for me, Felix Anduke Uzama. Did I do that right?
Yes, you did. Very
FAU
well done.
at the 503. So what was the last pick in the first round goes at the 503. Fantastic. You won the draft. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Trophies in the mail. I will say I had 2 picks where it was, this is too early for this guy, but I know he's not going to make it back around to me, and this is the type of player that I want with Jalen Carter and Deion Henley. And then, yeah, FAU was a chance to kind of, like I said, atone for not taking Miles Murphy in the 4th, and then Downs was a homer pick.
And if you think from a team perspective, you're going to plug these guys into a team, and they're going to be really solid contributors for you. You know, that's well done.
So
Jalen Carter at the 203, I wasn't sure if that was a reach, but in hindsight, I really like where he fits in there. Even with Kyborg, Van Ness there at the 202, in hindsight, I'm okay with that.
Well, especially if Rashawn Gary is not right to start the season,
And
which
probably
sounds
won't
like
be.
he's not going to be. So let's recap some of the teams here. So Mike Wollert went Bijan Robinson, Jack Campbell, Rasheed Rice. Is that
That's a great threesome right there.
it really is. That's very nice.
Chase Brown,
and then Owen Papo. Kyborg went with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Lucas Van Ness, Jalen Hyatt, Will Levis, and BJ Ojolari.
Good haul.
That was a very good haul. As Bobby mentioned, I went with Gibbs, Jalen Carter, Josh Downs, Deion Henley. FAU, Kyle Bellyfield went with Quentin Johnston, Kendre Miller, Drew Sanders, Miles Murphy, and Tucker Kraft.
another really solid team.
Very good team there. Ray went with Jordan Addison, Tyjae Spears, Will McDonald, Jair Brown, and Keyshawn Butte. Bobo, you went with Will Anderson, Roshan Johnson, Tyree Wilson, Trenton Simpson, Zach Evans. Addy, you went with Zay Flowers, Jonathan Mingo, Michael Mayer, Dorian Williams, and Derek Hall. Give us your thoughts on your little 5-pack of players here.
It's okay. I mean, picking from the 107, your team just is not going to look as sexy as those guys in front of you, just because of, like we mentioned, that teardrop from pretty much.
You had a teardrop on your face picking from 107.
Very much. So, yeah, I mean, because of that, I didn't really want to chase IDP too early because I feel like, I was already at a disadvantage picking in the second half of the draft. So I kind of wanted to let the value come to me. So I think that's why you see me end up with guys like Dorian Williams and Derek Hall, guys that are going to be a little under the radar because the capital isn't there like some of these other prospects, but who I think still have a really good chance to be just as productive, if not more. So, fun class. I really like it late.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you should also make sure you clean up your rosters. Get rid of guys you don't want so you can make sure you have room and are ready to add some of these guys that are going to go undrafted because there's going to be a lot of talent out there after this draft.
Yeah, so before it looks like Tripp gets auto-picked maybe Sean Tucker here, unless he set a Q. Did you have, Sean Tucker goes to Tripp on the auto-pick. But let's talk about Bobby Acker's team here. He has Anthony Richardson, Marvin Mims, Emmanuel Forbes, Keon White, and Dwayne McBride. Tripp went with Zach Charbonnet, Tank Bigsby, Sam Laporta, Luke Schoonemaker, Sean Tucker. And then Chris Lombardi went with Bryce Young, DeMarion Overshone, Tank Dell, Deuce Vaughn, and Brian Branch. And then Macri will force his pick through and see who he takes. It's going to be so funny if it's another tight end. Dalton Kincaid, C.J. Stroud, Luke Musgrave, Darnell Washington. Let's read some explanations here from guys that we haven't been able to catch up on yet. So Bobby said of the Dwayne McBride pick, who knows what happens with Dalvin Cook. McBride probably would have been earlier in the draft if he wasn't hurt at the end of the season. Dude runs hard. It's tough to see him not having a role in Minnesota. And then also wanted to mention, I think it was Chris talking about, Dallas with Deuce Vaughn. He said, we will see the next Eckler. If Dallas gives Deuce a chance, no one is touching this kid in open space, and his vision is special enough to live between the tackles if needed to. So you got to love, Bobby, that these all-22 guys are out giving some spicy takes on these rookies. I like it.
I love it. I love it.
So, Addy, why don't you force that Macri pick, and we'll see who Canada's Finest ends up taking Hendon Hooker. He loves him some Hendon Hooker. I think he will be very excited that he was able to snag probably his favorite quarterback from this class at the 5'11". So the young king takes us home with Tyler Scott. Bible, this is a pick I saw getting a lot of love on Twitter. The Cincinnati wide receiver ending up with Chicago. A lot of folks hot in the pants for Tyler Scott.
Yeah.
Like the player, don't like the landing spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the Hendon Hooker is great. I would love that landing spot there for Macri at the 5'11". It's hilarious that he got Stroud and Hooker and then 3 tight ends. So typical Macri fashion.
Just looking at the teams like 107 and after, like I feel like none of us are happy.
Yeah.
None of us got any of those guys that are like, oh yeah, baby.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
So you want to have early picks as far as like early in the round, it sounds like.
But these are 12 super intelligent guys. Not every draft is going to be that way. Every once in a while, somebody's going to throw in somebody that you haven't heard of.
That's true.
Going to be some dummies.
So what are the takeaways here, boys, as we kind of wind this thing down? This was my first time getting into a rookie draft of any kind and actually taking some picks. So, Bobo, what's your takeaways here?
At 105, are y'all for sure going Jordan Addison
Yes.
Yep.
over Will Anderson?
I
Yes.
mean, well, yeah, you can.
You can make a case.
Depends
but
on, I guess, where you're at, but for the most part, yes. If that's the move I'm gonna make, I'm gonna try and just trade back a little bit. I'm gonna try and trade with the person, behind me, in front of me. I don't
As
know.
one does. I think that's the most important pick in the draft.
Immediately behind me. You know what I mean? Just move back one spot.
Sure.
Because I think that is gonna be the pick for most people.
That 105, 106 area is the most important part of IDP drafts this year to me. In one QB. In Superflex, that might be the 108, 109 range. Even in Superflex, it's going to be really hard this year.
I'm seeing Will Anderson go like early second in Superflex.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I
That's
don't
fine.
hate it.
No, I mean, I feel like that's good value.
This feels eerily similar to like the Josh Rosen quarterback year, where a bunch of quarterbacks were drafted early, but some of them, haven't panned out. So anyways.
It's going to be interesting. A lot of sort of down on the class kind of analysis I saw coming out about these quarterbacks, and then we saw 3 go in the top 4 picks. Yep. So they're going to have every chance to succeed. This is an interesting exercise, boys, because I've been trying to sell these late picks that I have. I have 3 4th-round picks and a 5th. And it's just because I think it's going to be a lot of defense here, and my defense is relatively filled out. Nobody likes to trade for defense, so I'd like to say, I could ship these picks, ship these players that I have off to get some younger, cheaper guys in there, but no one's going to give me anything for.
I might have to hit you up after this little exercise.
Well, I'm wondering now,
value drops.
Do I want to hold on to some of these late picks and see if I can scoop up some defensive talent? But
you want some, you don't want a lot.
Yeah, it's tough because our auction actually does have some nice defensive guys available, I don't want to clog up my roster with guys that have a 25% chance of working out, and I've got to burn a roster spot on them.
If you've got a taxi squad, this is a nice little situation for you.
Yes, agreed.
Bunch of taxi guys here.
So, Addy, any final takeaways from doing this wonderful mock draft here? Thank you for putting this together, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. I'm looking at Unreal Tournament and looking at our rookie draft. This is a Superflex tight end premium full IDP. These are very deep rosters. We start a quarterback, 2 running back, 2 receiver, a tight end, 4 offensive flex, and a super flex. We have 4 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, 4 defensive backs, and a IDP flex. So very deep rosters, starting a lot of guys every week. Let's just run through the top 12 since we have a different format here.
Sure, let's do it.
Bijan Robinson, 101. Anthony Richardson, 102. Jahmyr Gibbs, that was your boy, 103.
Very nice.
Bryce Young, 104. CJ Stroud, 105. JSN, 106. Jordan Addison, that was also me.
Me.
I took him over Quentin Johnston. And that was tough because I have Justin Herbert. So I'm kind of regretting it a little bit just because.
Double boner points there,
potentially.
potentially.
Been fun, potentially. But Jordan Addison is a Viking. That's also fun too. So went with the heart there. So Jordan Aston 107, Quentin Johnston 108, Zach Charbonnet 109, Jack Campbell 110. Josh, that was you and Boo Bam.
All right.
That was Boo Bam.
That was Boo Bam. Let's not mince words here.
Dalton Kincaid was 111 to Macri. Zay Flowers was 112 to Nico. This is tight end premium again, so that's why you're seeing Kincaid get that high capital.
All right.
Will Anderson went 203.
Well, and it's a good segue too, Eddie. We mentioned it, I think, at the top of the show. I think we may have talked about it, and I didn't actually mention it on mic, but the IDP after show we've got coming up tomorrow. We are doing Super Flex Rookie Mock Draft. I think it's 4 rounds with Evan and Jake and Jace and Jeff and too many J names, Aaron, and then our boy, the roadie superstar himself, Eric Harms, is going to be making his after show debut. Each guy is going to have 2 picks per round. They're going to talk through their picks on the pod. It's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you're subscribed over at theidpshow.com. That's how you're going to get episodes of the IDP after show.
Those things are good, too.
They are good episodes, and it's fun. A little bit different format. We've got divisional previews coming up starting here. I think next week is the first divisional preview for the after show. Evan is going to be talking to Matt Montgomery from Football Guys about the AFC North. So the week of May 14th. So coming up here in a couple weeks, you'll want to check that out. But make sure you're subscribed to that feed as well, y'all. We got some really cool stuff cooking. And in our feed, we will have, of course, this episode dropping tonight. And then next week, it's back at it with the rookies. John is talking the rookie edge rushers with Joey the Tooth. Then a very fun episode. This is one of my favorite ideas that we schemed up earlier this offseason, the all-opportunity team. This is scheme changes, vacated snaps, looking at players who may be a little gross, but are going to have a primo opportunity because of the changes that have happened around them. Jake and Evan are going to be doing that episode for us. Then we've got post-draft winners and losers with Scott Bogman. Then the rookie DBs with Glosser. And then the top 48 Dynasty linebackers, part 1, kicking off with linebackers 48 to 25. Boys, this is one of my favorite parts of the season because we got some fun stuff to talk about.
Nobody touching the IDP show.
That's right. So make sure that you stay tuned, folks, because we are just getting started. The on-season rolls on. The IDP show draft kit is live. Go check it out. We are very proud. We've got the after show coming at y'all tomorrow. So the wheel, it just keeps on turning. Hope you all have enjoyed all the rookie content. We're going to keep it coming your way. If you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter. Check out the website. And until next time, we will see you guys soon.
We used to be 2 birdies up in a tree, a K-I-S-S-I-N-G. I saved every kiss I got from you. But oh, sometimes time can weigh you down. Sometimes love, sometimes hurts, sometimes love burns, sometimes love hurts.